Welcome to SharpenTheHustle.com podcast with Jesse Miller. We're working hard as a given, but results are how we measure success. We interview successful business owners that'll help you sharpen your hustle.
Welcome to SharpenTheHustle.com podcast. I'm here with my man, Dom Faussette, executive coach and leadership speaker. Dom, take a second to introduce yourself, bud.
All right. Again, my name is Dom Faussette. As Jesse said, I am an executive coach and leadership speaker. I reside in the nice hot state of Arizona, specific to Phoenix. Ironically enough, this is my second week after leaving the corporate arena for 13, 14 years. Dropped a six-figure salary to do what I do best, which is speak and coach.
Man, that's awesome. Let's talk about some of the background. What led you to that decision? How'd you land where you are today doing what you do? Tell us your story.
How much time do I have, bud? Like with the story. So I'm all over
Go for it. Go for it. Get the meat out there. I want people to be able to connect to this.
All right. So I grew up in Southern California in a pretty rough part of town. I grew up in the Inland Empire, San Bernardino to be specific. And growing up, rough was normal. I lost most of my best friends to gang violence prior to my hitting my freshman year in high school. Second year in high school, stabbed in algebra class. And this was an era where there was no counseling when somebody died at school or before coming into school. You just, you kind of suck it up and you move forward. But shortly after high school, directly after high school, I joined the military. I was Air Force K-9, traveled the world, had a good time with that, but I did my time and I got out. After I got out, I became a cop just because I had a desire to carry a gun, not like as a security guard, but like a dude, like a cop. And,
like a dude.
Yeah, that's just, I still had it in my system. I just like the feeling of carrying a weapon with the potential of using it on somebody. And not now, that was back then. And so while I was a cop, it just got dark very, very fast. I was successful because everything I've ever put on paper that I wanted to do, I had accomplished up to that point. But my purpose in becoming a police officer was maybe a couple engagements, nothing crazy. I just, at the end of the day, just wanted to help people. But when you start seeing some of the negative things or adverse things that people do to other human beings, it changes who you are as a person. And I didn't realize the change that the negative change in myself that took place until it was way, way, way late. I was so far down the hole. It got to the point where I was kicking in doors, serving warrants without a bulletproof vest because we've all heard of suicide by cop. Well, this was suicide by suspect. I didn't have it in me to take myself out just because my family wouldn't have gotten my death benefits, but I knew if I got shot in the line of duty, I'd go out as a hero. And nobody would have known that, okay, they knew I didn't have a vest on if I got killed, but maybe I forgot it because a lot of cops, it just happens. Well, obviously I never died, but I was physically hurting people in ways that probably shouldn't have happened. Now, granted, these were bad dudes. Like, as my dad says, they needed killing, but there's just ways I think a cop professionally should handle themselves. And I didn't. I was just a bad dude.
Yeah.
So I ended up I left law enforcement after being in a position where I almost took somebody's life in front of their kids. And I didn't, just because I didn't want that on my conscience. And ironically enough, I had one. Didn't realize it.
To clarify, it would have been justified if
the guy was coming at me with a knife. It would have been justified, right? But his kids were standing behind him, and I've got a couple hours of YouTube fighting experience. I'm just kidding. I'm a trained fighter, but I implemented some of those tactics and affected the arrest. We'll just say that. And shortly thereafter, I put my 2 weeks notice in. I came home one time to see my parents just for giggles, and My mom, mama knows best, as they say. She's just said, you look like the devil. And I grew up as a happy kid. So long story short, I ended up back in Arizona and through nepotism landed a gig in the corporate world and just kind of took it from there. And I've had strategic coaches along the way to get me from, making the $15 an hour to making a 6-figure salary without any formal education outside of high school, a couple classes in college, nothing crazy. So that's kind of what led me to where I'm at now. And I've been speaking for about a decade and coaching for some time as well.
Tell me what in that brings you joy, man. How's that fulfill that piece that you were missing in your prior experience?
So, bro, when over the last 2 weeks, I've gotten and I received messages from people. One of the messages guy says, "Hey, Dom, been watching your videos and they've inspired me." And these are like dudes. These are not like your run-of-the-mill, quiet kind of guys. This dude, he's a lumberjack. And
or your flake book friends or
yeah, no, exactly. And he literally messaged me. He said, your videos get me through. And his issue was he's a single father of 4, but his wife, their mother, killed herself in front of all of them. So day in and day out, he's got to deal with 4 kids like that. Like I couldn't deal with that. Another guy just messaged me last week, told me he found out his wife's pregnant. She's been cheating on him for the last 9 months. And this is a corporate guy. And these are just through videos. So my clients come to me with these stories that are their life. And the fact that I can add value to them just through coaching or speaking, it helps me. So dealing with PTSD, and I'm a stutterer and I've got Tourette's, and my Tourette's comes from the PTSD, but dealing with these things makes me say, you know what, my life's not that bad, right? And how many times have you met somebody who has a Porsche or a Ferrari, and these are my type of clients that, you know what, they go to the bar, they leave the bar just seeing how fast they can go, and they don't really care about life. Or how many people do we know that hate their kids or hate their spouse or the spouse hates them? Like they're one cheeseburger away from a heart attack and they're in shape.
They're kicking indoors with no vest on, man.
Right. And that's why, and this is not a plug, but that's why my book is titled When Success and Accomplishments Aren't Enough, because there's so many of us. If you saw me when I was a cop, you would have thought that dude's got it. Like he is the universal soldier, just smaller. Right? Because I'm 5'11", but I was that dude. Everybody, Dom will kick in the door. Dom will jump in through the vents in the roof. Dom will jump in through the kitchen window. Dom will jump off a roof on the 2nd floor to tackle a suspect. You can put Dom on the hood of a patrol car. Faussette is what they called me. We'll drive up. I'll slide off the hood. I'll run in. I'll kick in that door. I'll shoot every pit bull in there, and I will choke somebody out with the best of them. I mean, this right here, I have cracked skulls with, I have broken ribs with, because I thought I was doing the right thing. But I'm not a violent man anymore.
I tell people I have that same belief, man. I think success kills more people per capita than failure ever has. I mean, failure makes you dig deep and try again, but success, man, you hit that comfort and it's easy just to not care anymore. So, man, I love that. I love that concept. Let's talk about some of the things that you coach people through. Let's talk a little bit about the process of how you dig in, how you help them move towards what they want to attain. So the
process is specific to the individual, right? So I have 2 types of clients, right? Whether it's an executive, normally a person will come to me and they'll say they want to get their career moving forward. They want to get their business moving forward because most people don't have they're self-aware, but they're never going to say, I'm snorting coke 5 times a week, and that's why my business isn't moving forward.
That's not the lead in.
Right. I was molested at the age of 6, but I haven't acknowledged that, and I'm 39 now, but my business isn't moving forward because my partner sucks. Right. So I'll take them through a process that covers their career, their finances, their health, their friends and family, which is extremely important. their significant other, personal growth, fun and recreation and physical environment. And somewhere along the line, there's a disconnect, right? And we start there. And once we can figure out what the disconnect is, we're able to move forward. See, so many people coaching, although it's been done for years, decades even, it's just starting to come to light as something that's needed or necessary, because as entrepreneurs or as businessmen or women, we're trying to get different results with the same person that we are. And our mindset will only take our business to a certain level. It's going to take somebody else's mindset, a diverse perspective, to get you to where it is you need to go. Because you're right, success, you mentioned success holds us back. And one thing that I recently caught myself doing, we talk about staying in our lane. My lane is leadership. My lane is coaching. But I've had a lot of recent successes in my life. So I found myself, or caught myself, if you will, doing videos and making posts on social media about being a successful entrepreneur, or what it's like to leave your corporate world to do a business. But that's not my lane, because then I start sounding like everybody else on social media, not the Dom Faussette executive coach and leadership speaker. So it's just being self-aware. I mean, I have a coach. I spent close to 20 grand last year on a coach. That I believe that just for anybody who's looking for a coach, if your coach isn't paying for a coach, they're not a coach. And your coach should be spending more on coaching than you are spending on their coaching.
Yeah, no, I agree. I have that same belief system, man. I've got a great team of people around me that are pouring into me consistently, and you have to have that, because, man, coaching, you're carrying the burdens. I mean, you're literally carrying the burdens of other people. You're responsible for their success,
right?
In a lot of ways, and if they're not doing what they need to do, you have to have those hard conversations and drag it out of them and get them to really understand why are you not doing this? What are the blocks? Because we're about to crush them, or you're going to be gone as a client. Because that's the deal. You can't stake your reputation on somebody that's not performing in doing this. So, man, I've got a ton of respect for you and your approach. And let's talk. This is an interesting deal. So I think we have very different approaches in a lot of ways. You're very, very intense. Let's talk about that a little bit. Tell people why you're so passionate when you engage with the client, and why it comes off with that level of intensity.
The main reason why is when you see a person, as a cop, I've seen people take their own lives. I've stood over people and watched them breathe their last breath. They're not affected. Who's affected is their kids, right? Their spouse. I heard a story a couple days ago, or actually now a couple weeks ago, about a guy who's in his mid-30s, but when he was 7 years old, his dad was addicted to meth and lost his job, lost the house. Somehow, some way through the court system, the dad kept the kids, but the dad lost his money and ended up prostituting his sons, 9 and 7, out for 2.5 years until he got caught. But now this kid, which is now a man, is expected to operate effectively in life. And what do? Like we shut down those adverse life experiences that we have, and we put this facade on to become somebody else because the pain hurts. And I am intense with my speaking and my coaching because it's needed. We live in a world of, I call it this bubblegum world, where everybody puts on a facade. And unfortunately, there's so many men and women out there that put on this facade, and they've done it for so long that they don't know who they are. And you wonder why by the time you're 40, you've got PTSD. And now you're not a veteran, but you've got PTSD, but you haven't addressed it. Or you have anxiety issues. As a cop, I used to think anxiety, I'm like, that's for girls, anxiety. Until one day, I've got my Glock out, and I'm about to kick in the door, and I'm standing there about to run, and my body shut down. Like, I couldn't breathe. And I'm looking at my partner, he's looking at me, he's like, dude, what in the world is wrong with you? And I'm like, I don't know. Like, my body won't move. And I realized that's anxiety. I'm like, people deal with this going to work. What does that do to your heart? What does that do to everything in you. And so many people live this life based off what society expects them to do. Like how many doctors and lawyers and executives aren't doing what they want to do? Right? I'm 39. I skateboard. Me and my wife ride Ducatis. We enjoy life, but I didn't start enjoying life until I was 36 because I thought everything that I was doing prior to that was fulfillment and enjoyment. And what happens is if you look at, I have a client right now who's an attorney, he's overweight, but he's not overweight because he's not working out. He's overweight because he's not living to his fullest potential. And if you hire a coach that says they have a 90-day program, don't go with it, in my experience, because it takes me about 2 to 3 sessions of 45-minute sessions just to get through your own BS, not yours, but a potential client.
No, I agree. That's been my experience as well. I mean, it's if you're looking for a quick fix, coaching's not the answer. It's a long-term process. It's building a relationship that's going to last and grow with you as your company grows. Man, I love a couple of things that you said in there. Anxiety is one of the biggest killers for business owners in particular. And they don't think about it, but when they get caught doing the tasks in an anxious state, all they're doing is creating anxiety for everybody else in that environment. And you wonder why you're working real hard and not getting anything done. That's it right there. So, man, it's incredibly difficult on your body. You're exhausted all the time. You're frustrated. You're worn out.
Yeah.
So, man, I love that. I love what you said too, man. One of the things, like the statement just stood out as you were talking about why you're so passionate. It's like, man, you have to be more intense in their pain to get their attention, to help them deal with it, to help them overcome it. So, man, that's beautiful stuff, man. I love it.
And I really, and I tell my clients, well, all of my clients, well, except for one, have kids, right? To hear one of my clients tell me that he just realized his son was a locally recognized artist, and he didn't know for the last 3 years that's what his son's passions were. Like to me, that's why I do it.
Dude.
To hear an executive or a positional leader begin to connect with their staff, because truth be told, when I had employees working for me, they made less than half of what I made. They struggled. And when you have an employee ask, hey, can I come talk to you? I'm like, yeah, what's up? Every Wednesday and Thursday I go home, my husband takes a mini blowtorch to my thighs because he thinks I'm lying. Right. And these are like domestic violence is huge. Anxiety, over 15 million. I looked at a study the other day, over 15 million Americans deal with anxiety. And most of them aren't getting treated because they don't have time. But it's that I like to see people be happy. I've been divorced and I've been remarried. And like now in my life, I'm happy. I couldn't run a business without the support of my wife. Just the fact that I can talk to her. She won't let me coach her, but just the important that I can talk.
You don't want to.
No. I've tried once. She came over and I tried it.
It doesn't work.
Do not coach me, not motivational speak me. My husband. I was like, do you see all this? I'm a best-selling author. I've got to. It's what I do. Nope, can't. But
I love it. I tell people lots of people think I'm awesome, but my wife keeps me grounded. That's the way this works, man.
That's how I stay humble, bro. But it's like I want people to have that same experience. Yeah. I've been in relationships where I walk down the hallway of my own home and my wife and I don't talk. My ex-wife and I don't talk.
Yeah.
Like that hurts me. And then you stay at work for 14, 15 hours a day.
Yeah.
But who are you hurting? First, you're hurting yourself. Second, you're hurting your kids. And your employees.
If anybody questions the value in coaching after listening to that, I wish you were standing in front of me because I'd probably shake you. But man, that's awesome. So Dom, let's switch gears. Let's talk about where you're headed, man. Why'd you make that leap out on your own? What do you see in the next couple of years? What are you working towards?
All right. So why did I leave? I left because the corporate world was holding me back. I'm a bit of a handful to lead. Like if somebody's going to direct or manage me, I'm a lot to take in. right? And playing the game of, the how to win friends and influence people. I've done well with that, but I wasn't able to give everything to my clients. So letting go of a 6-figure salary, to me, I've never done anything for money. So it was very easy, but I had already built a book of business prior to leaving. I didn't just wake up and say, I'm going to be an entrepreneur. I'm going to jump. Yeah, no, that's not. Build my wings on the way down. No, your wings will never come out. You'll hit your face on the freaking ground. It was time. And again, I had the support of my wife. So financially, we didn't skip a beat, right? A lot of leaders talk about authenticity. I think, which is great to be authentic, but I think the word's overdone. And I don't think anybody's sharing what it means to be authentic. A lot of people, and you'll see this, authentic is, I was fat and I'm gonna take a picture with my shirt off and I'm gonna start losing weight. Well, you're probably hurting yourself from a client base. Like, nobody wants to see me with my shirt off. I don't even have abs. So, and I'm not a fitness coach, right? Or they share too much information. Authenticity is being who you are, but so many people don't really know who they are.
Yeah.
So they become a version of who they think society wants them to be. But I teach leaders to be vulnerable, right? Because vulnerability is what has allowed me to never get angry. Somebody posted something on Facebook today, and the question was, what do you do when you get angry? And my response was, I've seen a guy take his last breath. I don't have the right to get angry. Angry for what? Unless you touch my kids or my wife, I'm good. Even if you take money out of my pocket, I'm not going to get angry. Like, I expect people to suck, and they do sometimes. It is what it is. And we can control our emotions, believe it or not. It's not easy to do, but when you're authentic with yourself, just like Eminem did in 8 Mile, he got on stage and he shared every adversity in his life, took the wind out of his competitor. Everybody knows, like, my clients know I have Tourette's. My clients know that I was suicidal. My clients, if you go to the bottom of my Instagram feed at Dom Faussette, you'll see the growth in my business just over a year and a half. So I think my industry is going towards vulnerability and video, right? I think if you can get on your phone and do a video this way and record yourself on Instagram or Facebook or any other platform and stay in your lane, I think your business will grow. I don't do Facebook ads because I just am who I am. But how many times have we met somebody in person based off of following them on social media and they're not the same person, right? That for me is important. If you see me at the skate park, if you see me wakeboarding, wake surfing on the boat, at the ocean, in a conference room, on a stage in front of 6,000 people, you're going to see the same Dom. My clothes will be different, obviously, but I'm the same me, which to me, that's being vulnerable. I don't think authenticity allows that. As it relates to kind of where I'm going, I've been blessed. Some guy that I knew 12 years ago that I worked with and brought me to his office, and he's doing extremely well for himself now. And we had some minute interactions, nothing crazy, but I wasn't a jerk back then. And he's given me full access to his video guy. His video guy runs podcasts. So I'm going to be able to do a Think React Lead podcast. I was also I'm taking this, I got to pull the picture up, but I'm doing a Think React Lead Elite, which is awesome. And it's going to allow me to do what I'm extremely passionate about, which is changing people's lives. But as a, let's call it cadre, or for the civilian type, a drill instructor is here somewhere. But I'm going to start doing a Think React Lead Elite. And man, for me, I'm excited about that because it's going to allow me to invite people out to Arizona. It's going to allow me to get them overnight. And I have a friend that's a Army Ranger, another guy who's a retired captain in the Marine Corps. And we're going to get them out there and allow people to really feel what it means to operate at your best, because most people don't operate at their best. As you've seen, you're a coach. Like, you'll see somebody and you'll see all this potential and talent, and you're thinking to yourself, dude, you're giving yourself on your best day 30%. But that's what a coach does.
Yeah, man. No, absolutely. We pull the best out of them, man. We help them see it. That's the real deal, man. It's really, we're not here to teach. We're not here to give you a bunch of information you've never heard, man. We're here to reach in, pull out who you are and establish it so you can move forward in that instead of all the crap you're chasing that's just leading you in circles, man. I love that, man. So is that going to be like a multi-day event or
yeah. So the goal with ThinkReactLead Elite is to bring people out to Arizona, take them out to Bartlett Lake, and it's a mountainous region. So what we're going to end up doing, and I can't find the picture, but what we'll end up doing is getting the rucksacks, getting them the information they need as far as attire. And we'll do, it's almost like your first day, if you've been in the military, your first day of basic training mixed with like a college level leadership course, a corporate level leadership course. But that leadership course is going to be done after, as we say in the military, we've hurt that body.
Yeah. When you're broken.
So, cool. It's about teamwork. It's about really digging deep and understanding, like, you can give yourself way more. Like, people will ask me, Dom, what, it seems like you're biting off more than you can chew. In the animal kingdom, when an animal has a family, they attack their prey and they drag the prey back to the den. Why? Because they have a family to feed. And I remember I was doing private security for a reporter. It was a boxing event, and the reporter asked the first guy, hey, why do you think you're going to win? He's like, I've been doing this for a decade. I'm training, been watching the videos. And he was very strategic. It was a great answer until I heard the second guy's answer. And this guy was polished. The second guy, he was just a local guy, hadn't been seen or heard, but a little rugged in his look. And they asked him the same question, and he had a towel over his head. He pulled it back and just looked at the camera and said, I got a family to feed. And I was like, ooh, like that? I would not want to, like, I'm a fighter. I'm not fighting him. He's got way more best. Like, he can't lose. It's like, if he loses this, his son and daughter and wife don't eat. Like, I'm just, okay, like that answer gave me chills. Yeah. I'm like, wow, like, I bite off more than I can chew because I'm not just chewing for me, right? Yeah. And that's what it's about, is doing things for other people.
Dude, I love that. It's one of the things I'm so hard on the business owners that I work with about. The problem that I see so frequently is that they get to that spot of comfort that we were talking about earlier, and then they stop. They don't think about the people that helped them build it. They don't think about their vendors. They don't think about the customers and the end users and how they can literally use the leverage and the margin that they've created to benefit their life. They just stop. I'm like, dude, if you don't build a vision that's big enough to carry everybody you're associated with,
right,
you're failing. You're failing.
And I think so many business owners stay, especially educated business owners, they stay so closed-minded, and they don't, the only reason why they're closed-minded is because they don't experience life. Like, I have a client right now, military or ex-military. He was a chemistry teacher, and now he's going to this like way high level global management school. And I asked him, and as I usually ask all of my clients, what makes you happy? And his response was, what makes me happy? And he's an intellect, mind you. I like reading a good book. And he goes on, he says some other nerd stuff. I'm like, bro, chill out. Like, talk to me like a normal dude. What makes you happy? Nobody's happy with reading. I'm like, you're 32. Reading is cool, is like cool, because if you don't do it, like, you won't progress in life. Like, it's like eating's not fun. Eating the right stuff isn't fun. I'm like, what do you like to do? And finally he's like, you know what? I like dancing. And he's a break dancer. So fortunately for me, he's local. I said, all right, bro, we're building your confidence. I'm helping him learn how to speak from a corporate standpoint. And I went to one of his, it's called a cipher. I went to one of his ciphers, and I'm like, that's the smile that I need you to do every single day of your life. Like, you are in your own zone and you're comfortable with who you are. Share this with people. Nobody's going to be like, you're not going to not get hired because you are a break dancer. You're an educated break dancer. That's fine. So just, there's so many things that people just don't allow themselves to do, and it holds them back, and they end up cheating on their wives, or they're cheating on their husbands, because they're looking for this feeling. They're looking for this feeling of conquering something, right? Or this euphoric, that's why you see, clients stuck on any drug, but normally it's Coke, or weed, or even drinking alcohol, or porn. I mean, there's all these things, and I'm just like, bro, like, stop. Like, if you could just not do this for a couple days, what could you take that energy, apply it mentally, and kill your business? Like, you just can expand your business, because all that is energy bottled up that has to be expelled somewhere.
Yep. Man, that's awesome. Good stuff here. So let's switch gears one more time. Last question. If you had no resources, but you know everything that you know now, what would you be doing?
Making friends and building relationships. So when I started, I didn't have any resources. For example, so when I say thinking outside of the box, I didn't go to college, and I realized for me that I needed to look a certain way just to, get the interview. And I found out that I can get money for going to college. So I signed, and this was a decade and a half ago. I signed up for college, I got a check deposited into my account. I took that money, it's supposed to pay for college, but I bought suits. And I bought about 4 or 5 books. One was Dale Carnegie's How to Win Friends and Influence People. The other one was How to Think Like a CEO. I bought a new Bible, and then I bought the 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership. And I started reading all of those, right? How to Think Like a CEO. Like, I just needed to learn the lingo, right? Because talking like a cop wasn't going to get me there. How to Win Friends and Influence People. Like, I knew how to be a jerk. Like, I aced that class, but I needed to learn how to not talk. And when I did talk, sound intelligent, right? And make the other person feel warm and fuzzy in my presence. So all these books helped me out. And then I got a job, it was $15 an hour. A couple months later, I got a job, $30 an hour. And then I was like, yo, this is easy. It's like, okay, I'm on the scrimmage line. Like, how do I get the first down? And then I just started building. I made sure that all of my interactions was giving a person warm and fuzzies. Like, no matter how bad your dog pisses you off in the morning, maybe it craps on the floor. By the time you come home, if you've owned a pet, that dog greets you at the front door. What's the first thing we do? We start speaking this high-pitched, crazy, that's a good boy. Like, we don't do that anywhere else in the world, but our voice changes. We come out of our shell, and we will literally be in a $2,000 suit, sit on the floor, and let the dog lick our face. Like, why won't we do that for humans? So I make sure that when I'm interacting with other people, I, metaphorically speaking, rub them behind the ears, make them wag their tail, because nobody does that for them. At the end of the day, we all want validation. So I started doing that early on. Hence, 12 years later, I'm starting this podcast, and the guys charge me next to nothing to do audio, to do video. He's a certified YouTube dude. Like, I'm getting all this for pennies on the dollar. Why? Because I wasn't a jerk 12 years ago. So not having resources, all of us can talk. 99.999% of people can talk, right? So if you're going to say something, say it right. And to simplify it, dudes, when we go to the bar, single dudes, and maybe some of you married dudes, when we go to the bar and we start engaging in conversation with the lady that catches our eye, we don't talk about how awesome we were in college or, our deployments. Like, and the reason why we don't talk about that stuff is because we have an end game, whatever that end game is for you. But the sooner the end game, the better, right? And we do this thing where we listen. And we listen and we smile, fake or not, we smile. We touch, behind the elbow. Yeah, and we call this game. You could do that in the corporate world. You can do that in a business meeting. It's this, wherever that energy comes from, it's the same skill set. How to win friends and influence people. It's the end game.
That's awesome. I see it. I see it all the time. People playing small, and they run over people in the process. And it just, long term, there is no end game in that, man.
No.
That'll kill your progress for sure. So, Dom, for anybody that sees this and wants to know more about how they can connect with you, where's the best place for them to find you or reach out to you?
To find me, there's a social media platform. So we have Facebook, Dom Faussette, Instagram, Dom Faussette, D as in Delta, O-M, F as in Frank, AUSSETTE. And, or you can just call me, 602-481-0650.
Nice.
Website's being built, domfaussette.com. YouTube channels, ThinkReactLead. But I'm old school. Like, if you call me, I answer my phone. You text me, Facebook, message me, I'll reply. Like, I'm engaged that way.
I love it, man. I love it. So, man, I encourage you guys highly. Reach out to Dom if you have any questions about coaching or want to step up your game. This guy will drag it out of you for sure.
Nice.
Man, thank you for your time. Thanks for being on SharpenTheHustle.com podcast, man. I really enjoyed it.
You've been listening to SharpenTheHustle.com podcast with Jesse Miller. To learn more about the resources mentioned on today's show or to listen to past episodes, check out SharpenTheHustle.com.